Alan, can't hear you.
I said I'm in progress.
In progress of what?
Well, it says recording in progress.
Oh, yeah, the recording's in progress. What does your shirt say? 70 isn't what? Oh, isn't old if you, oh, okay. Got it. Cute. So you had a busy day, huh?
Oh, it didn't go well.
Oh, no.
It was
I'm sorry.
That's okay. We went okay until I went to lunch with her.
Oh,
We had a ball up at we went to Kugel's,
yeah.
and I guess I ordered the wrong thing.
For yourself or for her?
Like the sandwiches are pretty big, so lunchtime we
Oh,
let them.
you share.
And we've had a few different kinds. I ordered a Reuben and two sides, and it was like, I don't know. She walked out.
Oh, that sucks.
And then, of course, I had to make sure she was safe.
Of course.
And then, of course, I walked out of the store without paying.
Right.
I left my jacket there. So I came back in, wrapped it all up, and then went to my other thing that I was going to do. And then she was argumentative the entire time we were going. But she had time once she settled. We went to this free sing along with this woman who was so animated. She was great. I had a great time. I had an hour of relaxation. Pam sang and moved around and had a great time. And then we left and she argued with me all
You left and she what?
argued with me all the way home.
Oh, it came right back, huh?
Did you get my email, the attachment? With the attachment?
No. Oh, if I did, I didn't look at it because I haven't been on my email in a few hours.
Okay, no problem. I sent it sometime this morning.
Really?
Actually, last night.
No.
No?
I got the email saying you wanted to, when you had appointments, so you couldn't do it today. That's the last email I have from you.
Wasn't there an attachment with it?
No, I think you said, I'm going to put something together and send it to you. I will finish up a draft and send it to you for a look-see, and we can talk very soon. And that's the last email I have from you.
All right, just give me a second. I'm going to jump on.
Well, I'm probably not going to be able to look at it now anyway.
No, I know, but I just. Huh. Okay, I'll just send it again.
Yeah, no problem.
This one.
Unless it went into my junk mail or something, but that doesn't usually.
Nope. It could have been.
User error.
I sent it.
You did send it? Jonesy41@gmail.
I don't know. But it did. I sent something and did have an attachment. Should have an attachment. So
Hi, Mary.
I just will reach. Hi, Mary. I'll just send a new one.
Okay, just looking through like my junk mail for some reason.
Don't worry about it. I'll just send a new one.
Yeah, if it didn't have the attachment, I need that anyway. All right.
Yeah, and just fix it the way whatever you can. We'll talk about it when we can. When we get
Okay.
Yes.
What's your deadline?
As soon as I can get it to her.
Okay, good. I don't have a ton of time right now. I may be able to do it tomorrow.
It went off. So just what I need to do is just just So I thought we had somebody else with us.
Dick is coming in and Erin. Frank. Oh, I didn't need to let him in. Did I? Oh, that's me. Let me just, it's not, because I use the gateway. Hi, Erin.
Hello, everybody.
Hello,
Well,
everyone.
When you get back,
Hi, Dick.
when you get back, Erin,
Yeah.
we'll go to one of these memory cafes together.
Okay, I'd
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was a lot of fun.
Oh, good.
So
Oh,
I
I'm
think
glad.
you'll enjoy it too.
Yeah, I'm
Where
glad
was
you
it?
had fun.
It was in this one was in Marlboro, and it was just an hour. But this woman who sang did show tunes and songs, and first of all, she had a exquisite voice, and then she had the animation to go with it. She danced and gyrated around and did the jigs and whatever the song needed. She just danced with it, and everybody had I had a wonderful time.
Oh, good. Good.
It was a great, and it was an hour that I just settled and listened to music.
To
Did Pam,
decompress.
did Pam enjoy it? Did Pam enjoy
We
it?
were just moving around and wiggling
Yeah.
around. I'll send you
Yeah.
a tape that one of the songs was her dancing.
Okay.
I had the camera behind it.
Yeah. Oh,
It's
that's
a-
great.
Yeah. Anyways, it was a lot of fun. For it could have been different to another person.
Yeah.
But
Hi,
it was.
Nanda.
Hi, Nanda.
Hi, Andrea. I didn't say hi
Wow.
to
Hi,
Andrea.
Nanda.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, Andrea.
Spring is in the air, huh?
Oh yeah.
I guess so. Yeah.
I did a little yard work today.
Dick, are you home? You have, it looks like there's a lot of light coming in through your windows there still. I feel like
Yeah.
it should be dark out already.
No, well, it's just after sunset. Yeah, there's still a little bit of light coming in.
Yeah, unless there's a light on you, like a light bulb or something, but it looks
Well,
like
there's
it's
one
coming
desk
in.
lamp to my right.
Oh,
That's
that's
about
where the
it.
light is coming
Yeah.
from.
Yeah.
Hi,
Hello,
Leo.
I usually
everybody.
have that on when
Hi,
I'm on a
Tom.
Zoom.
Hi, guys. Oh,
Hello.
I'm finishing my dinner, so I'll turn off my video.
Nanda, you're muted.
Nice smile though.
There you go.
Oh,
Yay.
God, technology.
I know.
Technology.
Gotta love it.
Press the button. Oh, Susan said that she wasn't coming.
Yeah, I
Susan
know Beth.
McIntyre.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I know Beth's not going to be here. I think Mark is still away. I expect Frank though. There's Lois coming in. But I don't think I have to let Frank in because we'll both use the GCC Zoom account. And I talked to him earlier today, so I thought he was gonna. Hey, Lois.
I love it.
Hello.
everyone.
But we can get started. I mean, I don't think this is going to be a really long night either. I was hoping to get some feedback from people about like, I overall I've gotten feedback that people are pretty happy and things are going pretty well, but I'm always afraid that the people who aren't happy don't want to complain, and I don't see it as complaining. I see it personally as feedback to make it better and make this more what people want it to be. But if everyone's happy, then I guess that's the way it goes. And looking at the syllabus, though, I'm still making some tweaks. I mean, I had one whole meeting planned for just going over the menu system, like at the top of the screen, and one for metadata and one for keywords. And I feel like but the menus are pretty self-explanatory. I can't see why we would need to spend a whole night doing that. So I was going to consolidate it into 3 nights. Into one night: menus, keywords, and metadata. And I started thinking about it. We went over metadata, we went over keywords. Do you feel like we need to do that again? Was it too fast? Should we dive deeper into it? I sort of want feedback from people. Yes, Alan, I see your hand is raised.
So on that note, there are other ways that you could use the keywording, and I don't think you did that. I might be wrong.
No, I kind of, I didn't. I think I went over what I thought was fairly quickly to say, here what it is, here's what it does. But you're right. I think we could delve into that deeper.
So
And,
sometimes,
metadata too, maybe. I don't know.
right? So it's interesting that one day I showed somebody just changing the menu on the search bars because you can actually change the search bars on your selections of what you want to search for.
Right.
And just doing that alone, you could sort out, let's just say that you have multiple lenses and you want to figure out what lens you're actually using the most of. And
Right.
you can actually get a percentage.
Right.
You know, and you say to yourself, do I need to carry all these other lenses?
Yeah. But sometimes, wait a minute, there's that time that you want
Yeah,
that lens and you don't have it. It would kick me
I
in the butt.
understand that, but the weight and the distribution and the taking care of the equipment and taking,
I know.
you know,
And the cost.
and well, but you could take the lens out specifically for something specific.
Yeah.
So
All right, well-
my questions always seem to go back to the original thing about the catalog and moving the catalog so the catalog doesn't get confused as much as I get confused, and what can go and what can't. So at some point, maybe toward the end, get back into that a little bit again about moving things around without losing them.
Okay.
That's just, a thought. My
Oh,
problem
Frank's
is,
here.
okay.
So I'm putting moving things around without losing them in catalog management in
Yes.
general.
Yeah, and yeah, the whole catalog management. Yeah, I know some of you put them on external drive and take them with you, and I don't know how you get them on how you put the whole catalog on an external drive, but that's
Sure.
for another time.
Okay. No, it's definitely for another time. But
Yeah.
Hi, Frank.
Hi.
You didn't get any sun recently?
Yeah, it's his
Right.
lighting. Yeah.
You didn't get very much sun recently? I think you should go outside in the sun tomorrow and at least color yourself up a little.
Are you talking to me?
Yes, sir.
Oh,
I
okay.
believe he is.
Well, I'm on a new laptop tonight.
You look pale white.
I'm firing up the club's old laptop to see if I can get it to work as the laptop for Zoom in the hall. And so far it's working, but you're right, the color is a little bland, isn't it?
No, it's about 60 points bland.
Maybe I should go into choose video filter and say enhance image.
Hey, can you do that? Make yourself look younger?
I don't know. I'm looking at the
Yes,
options right now.
Yes,
I'm
if
trying to
you
find
go into
one here.
Photoshop and you take the squishy tool and you
Yeah.
squish yourself down and elongate yourself, and then you take
Okay.
the wrinkle tool and you take
Hi,
all the
Phyllis.
wrinkles off of you.
Hi, Fred.
You can take this off, or
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to start sharing the screen. I think. There. Are we sharing?
Yeah, looks like it.
And
Yeah,
Frank, you're going to
it's
watch if
a
people
short
come in.
stack.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll open participants. Okay.
All right. I changed that by mistake. I'm just trying to get, oh, there, that'll go away, I guess, eventually. I'm trying to minimize the box so it's not in my film strip here or something. Oh, I can do that for one thing. There you go. Get rid of those people. There we go.
You're making
Okay,
me
so
hungry.
I'm sorry. I was saying that, and it'll be in the recording, so I don't want to repeat myself too much, that I'm finding as I review the syllabus that there were some things that didn't nearly need to be taken up a whole meeting. And so I am changing and consolidating. Tonight, I kind of I actually added something that I never thought to put in the syllabus. And I realized a couple of weeks ago that this was a pretty important information. And this is about sharing your images. So it's not just about exporting. And we did talk about sharing when we talked about making collections and going into Lightroom Creative Cloud and sharing from there, maybe even on a mobile device or an iPad, a tablet. But this is, and it's come up a couple of times because people go into Photoshop sometimes. They take their image, what I've heard is they take their image from Lightroom, go into Photoshop, resize it for competition, save it on their desktop, and then load it up onto the Gateway Visual Pursuits website. And I think that's a little clunky. I think if we go over sharing images here tonight, you might come up with a better way to do it. It's called exporting in general. And so in Lightroom, you don't save photos in the traditional sense like Photoshop or other programs, you export them. When you export an image, it's a way to share in an email. You can share it on social media. I use it to put into folders for competition, which I'll show you my setup for that. The exported image, include whatever image you choose. If you have several versions of the same image, maybe you did one in black and white, you took one into topaz and did something funky with it, a filter or something. Whatever image you're exporting, the adjustments that were applied to that particular image all go and are burned into the image. So that when you export it, what you see is what you get basically. And you can export one image or a whole group of images. For example, if I do a newborn photography shoot, and I'm gonna, after I I make a collection, I share them the link with the cloud. They go through and they tell me which images they like, or they tell me maybe they want me to crop this more or do something with that or whatever it is. And I make my adjustments and we agree on what the final set of images that they want are. I will export them directly to a flash drive, and then I take the flash drive to them and deliver it. When I do a group of images, but for competition, it's typically single images and I'm doing one at a time. And there's several ways that you can start the export process. For some reason, I always have my stylus. I work on a tablet, and on my pen, the bottom button is a right click. So it's easy for me just to right click, and I go down to export and I click on export, and that gets me to the dialog box. You can also go to file and export, and there's a couple of different exports here, but the main one you want to do, and you can see if you go file export, there's the keyboard shortcut is Shift Command or Control E will export the picture. And you can, and actually the simplest one is really just hit this export button right here. So that really is the easiest. Hit the export and you come up, what it presents is what I call a dialog box. And so the first thing you want to address is, where are you going to export this to? And this is in the general sense. How are you going to use this? I'm usually exporting to a hard drive. That's typically where I'm going. If you want to export and just simply email it, it's actually easier to just go on the file menu and go email photo, and that's Shift Command or Control M is the shortcut there, and you can email that. I can show you that real quick because that's pretty self-explanatory. You put the recipient's email address in here. You can put a carbon copy or blind carbon copy by clicking these buttons. And if you want to create an address book of people that you regularly email images to for some reason, you click new address and click new address and put their name and their email address and click OK. I'm going to cancel it. I don't need to do that. You do a subject. The image is in here. It comes from when the recipient gets it, it looks like it's sent from my iCloud, Joni, I think it's Jonesy41 at iCloud.com or something. You can go to email account manager and give your email account permission yourself. And then there's a few presets here. The email is the default, and that's the one I would go with so that it doesn't get too compressed. But if there's specific sizes that the person needs, You can use one of the presets that are in here, or you can create your own new preset. And then you're back to what we're going to see in the export dialog box in a second anyway, where you can change the settings there, and we'll get into that shortly. So if you have to just want to email it, you don't have to export it out and then upload it into an email. You can simply email it from the file menu right here. Now, there's no saved image anywhere. The only place the saved image is in the recipient's email and if they download it, but you don't have to clutter up your hard drive space with those kinds of files.
Johnny, your setup is you use Apple Mail, but is there a way to choose a mail client? Like I have a Mac, but I use Gmail.
Right. So there is, but you have to click on the From area and go to your email account manager and set it up through there.
Oh, okay, so it's possible.
It is possible. Yeah, I mean, you have to know all this information that I don't even know what, I
Yeah.
mean, you guys all probably know this stuff. I don't know. Add new account, say Gmail.
Okay, thank you.
Service provided Gmail. Okay.
Yeah, it fills
And
out.
And then you must have to go here, credential settings. Obviously, I haven't done this. Oh, I have to give my password. So you have to validate it. And then once that's there, that'll be a drop-down choice for you.
Thank you.
But I don't want that. And I'd like to get rid of it. I don't know if I can, because it's not validated. All right. So that's the easiest way to, and you can email a group of photos. Again, if the file size gets too big, the email's not going to accept, it won't go through. So you have to be obviously cognizant of that. So when we export, typically it's to a hard drive. I mean, there are other choices here. I personally wouldn't export to these plugins. I would just actually edit in the plugin and save it back in Lightroom. I don't know why these are here. I guess you could export it to a CD or DVD. Most people are using flash drives now. So typically it's going to be a hard drive. And again, if you have to email it, I wouldn't even go to this box. I would just do what I said a minute ago. And on the left side, there are some presets that have already been set up. I think when you plug these in, they automatically did that because I didn't set those up. Lightroom sets these up. And then you can create your own user presets, which I erased mine so that we could create them here tonight. And like I said, the first example we're going to walk through is the way I would do it for competition. So for me, I would send my pictures to a specific folder. And let me just show you for a second real quick what I do here. On my hard drive, on my internal hard drive, I have a folder that's Gateway GCC. And in that folder, I have GCC images. And in that, by year, obviously, this has not always been as organized as it is now, but 2022 to 2023 is this year's competitions. And I number the months so that they go in chronological order versus alphabetical order. So I have all the months that we compete and the monthly club. And within each of those, I have the categories: creative, nature, pictorial, theme, whatever the theme is. And the multi-club, I have all of the themes for multi-club here. So those folders I set up in August, July, August, sometime before September, and usually over the summer, because I'm going to start to think about competition and shoot and get these things in. And I don't always tend to wait till the last minute. I can't say never. Of course, I have. So that's my file system that's already on my computer. So when I export an image, and you see I'm changing this every time. In a few minutes, once I set up a preset, we won't have to do that. I will go to a specific folder. I will choose where I'm going to export this. You can export just the same folder that your original photo is stored in, whatever hard drive and folder that is. You can choose a photo later if you're setting up a preset. You can just send it to your desktop. And if you send it to your desktop, you might want to check put in a subfolder and name that, and we'll show examples of that later. But I'm going to send it to a specific folder. And when I choose that option, I'm going to ask everybody to turn their video and mics off because I see my cursor, my mouse seems to be a little spastic tonight, and I don't know if that's why or not. When I choose specific folder, now I have a folder, a breadcrumb of where. So this is probably the last time I put something in. This is the last folder I probably went to. But if I hit the choose button, now I've got, in Mac, it's the Finder, and PC, it's whatever your desktop organizational system is. And I can navigate to the folder I want to go to. In my desktop, I have Gateway, and I have Gateway Images and 2023. And let's say I want to put this in May Pictorial. So there's that. And I highlight it and I click choose. Now it's not going anywhere. We're just starting the process of when it's going to export. So we're just setting up the first box in the export side, the right side. So export location is a specific folder, my May Pictorial. I'm not going to put that in a subfolder. I don't need to for this. And I'm going to actually delete that. Here, you can choose to rename the folder. If I rename the file, if I don't rename it, it's going to be whatever the name was when I imported it. This one, I happened to take it into Photoshop and do some composite work on it. So that I know is a composite, but typically I will, especially for, I mean, I don't have to, but for competition, I will rename the file. I'll give it a custom name. If I have several images, I'll do a custom name and a sequence. And not only do I have to get a custom name, and then it will start with, you know, pancake 1, pancake 2, pancake 3. It depends on how many pancake photos I'm exporting. But if I do that and I give it a custom name, and then I can click on this text box and put pancake. And you can change the extensions. It can be lowercase or uppercase, your personal preference. It's not a video, so we don't have to concern ourselves with that. For competition, we export to JPEG, but there's all the other formats are here, including original, which is whatever your camera shoots it in, whatever your RAW format is. But for competition, we want JPEG. I usually hit the quality up 100%. You can use the slider or just type it in like I did. The color space is sRGB because most printers, most monitors, that's the color space that they use. I don't have to limit the file size in this case because I'm going to size it here. If you want to keep the original size of the image, you uncheck resize to fit, but I want to size this for the projector. And I typically do long edge. Our projector images, the longest edge can be no more than 1400 pixels. And you have a choice of pixels, inches, or centimeters here. And the shorter edge is no longer than 1050. I've never had a problem by just choosing the longer edge, whether it's a portrait or a landscape, making that edge, the longest edge 1400. You can do a specific width and height if that's what you want to do. But I never, like I have to think, okay, this is a portrait, so my width should be 1050 and my height should be 1400. So you'd have to stop and think like that. But I've never had a problem just having long edge and default and have a preset set up for 1400. You can set it by megapixels. I had a friend this week that he needed his images to be 5 megapixels. So I set it for that for him. Percentage I don't really get, to be honest with you, and specific dimensions. Same as width and, again, this is the width and height. So I guess you'd have to know, I don't even know which is which. If I was going to do that, I'd stick with which width and height. But for this preset, yes.
Joni, can I add something here? It's Did you say that was 1,400 on the height? It's 1050 of the height. 1,400 on the width. 1050
The
on the
long,
height.
whatever the longest edge is, if it's a portrait, the longest side is going to be the height. If it's a landscape, the longest side is going to be the width.
Yes, but the height can never be over 1050. The height can never be 1,400.
Wow.
That's in our rules.
I believe you. I've just never had a problem submitting an image with the long edge being 1,400. I thought the longest was 1,400 and the other side.
Why don't I look that while you're talking
Thank
here?
you.
I think I know how to do this. So while you're talking here,
Yeah,
why
no,
don't I look that up in our
yeah, sure.
rules?
I mean, I could look it up real quick too, but go ahead. That'd be fine.
Okay.
If I'm wrong, I apologize. I just never had a problem. I've never had a problem. The resolution doesn't matter in this case. I think this is 72 because it's saved from something else, but I'll put 300 just, I'm going to put 300. In output sharpening, it doesn't make a huge difference, but for competition, I do sharpen a little for screen. You can if you're going to send it to a printer, you have matte paper and glossy paper choices, and you can choose high, low, or standard. And I've never done anything other than standard. You can choose what metadata you want to include in the image that you're sending out. And the choices are everything here, that whatever you want. And we talked about metadata a couple weeks ago. For competition, I typically do copyright only. And watermarking, you do not want to do for competition. If you want to do it for something else, you have choices, and you can make your own watermarks. You can actually, if you go to a company that makes watermarks and they send you a PNG or a JPEG of it, you can upload it here and have wherever you save it. I don't have one. You can choose, if you have your name like I do, you can choose a font, a style, how to align it, what color it is. You can do a shadow on it, and opacity is just how light or dark it is. If it's offset at all, the radius, the angle of it, and then you can, down at the bottom, you can choose where on the image it's going to go. Like mine's lower left right now if I ever do a watermark, but you could do center bottom, right? This is the anchor point. So you can see how the watermark is moving around as I change that. And I don't watermark very much, to be honest with you. I have it there. I think there's a few, you can do some other.
By watermark, excuse me, you just mean putting in your name.
Well, that's what I did.
Okay.
You could have a fancy logo that you created for your photography, your signature. There's all sorts of things that you could do. I happen to just have it a copyright, basically. And it just shows it. Can you see it right here in the bottom left-hand side? It's not very big. I don't want it to interfere. Okay.
Yep.
But for competition, you would never want to watermark. That's a big no-no.
They generally mark you off if you sign it in competition.
Okay, that could be. And yep.
Could you go back to file settings quality, please?
File settings?
Yeah. Whenever I got any version of the Lightroom, it always comes as default quality 80. So is it a considerable improvement, or why would?
The only time I've ever seen or been recommended to change this to maybe 90% is that if you're uploading, and we'll do it in a second when we make another preset, is if you have a website that you're putting the image on, I guess it can take longer to load for the person who's clicking on the picture on your website. So they said if you drop it to 90%, it makes a huge difference for the viewer. but it doesn't make
Oh.
that big a difference on the website for the quality.
Oh, okay.
If-
So if I decide later to upload it, let's say to Facebook, Facebook reduces the quality anyway, so then it
Correct.
wouldn't matter.
That's right. Years ago, like 10 years ago, I had watched a video or something and it said for Facebook and social media to drop it down to 60 so that if people's 60% 60 quality, so that if people tried to steal your image, they're really not getting a good image, but it still looks fine on Facebook. And I don't know if Facebook changed, but I've learned since then that Facebook will automatically do some compression or change it in some way for their own algorithms, and that
That's
whatever
correct, they
we
still
put for
do it.
quality, for whatever we do for quality doesn't really matter.
So the quality actually is a compression.
So I'm doing no compression if I put 100.
Correct. And
Yeah.
so the lower you go, the more compressed it is.
Okay.
That's right.
And it also changes your output and the size of the image that you're sending.
Regardless of what you do in the sizing area.
Well, it'll be that size, but I meant the kilobyte size. So
I see.
the actual number of kilobytes.
Yeah, the storage
lower-
amount.
The lower you get, the smaller it's going to be, because of the interpolation and the.
Is it going to look more pixelated?
Yes.
Yeah, that makes sense. Hey, Lois, did you find anything out yet before I make my preset?
Excuse me, I was muted. Yes, I actually put a quote from the rules in the chat.
Okay. Image size must be a width not to exceed 1400 and a height not to exceed 10. It's interesting that I've never had a problem with it though. Horizontal landscapes may be 1400, vertical images may be something like 700 wide, square, which is 1050 by 1050. Yeah, that makes sense.
When I set mine on the image sizing here on the export menu, I always choose height and width.
Okay.
Because that ensures, when I set the width for 1400 and the height for 1050, that ensures that if I have a vertical image, it will export not to exceed 1050 in height.
So what if your ratio does this have anything to do with aspect ratio though? Like what if I have a square picture?
Then
I don't necessarily want
it goes on to say, if you have a square picture,
right,
it's not going to be more than
1050.
1050. It's not going to be 1400 by 1400. It's going to be 1050 by 1050. Because
right, if you do width and
never be
height.
more than 1050.
Yeah.
So in this, so in this case, I want my height. Well, see that I want the
Height
longest
is-
edge. I want my longest edge to be 1050s. By the way, I would think.
No, because
Then-
no, because when you're using a horizontal portrait, you want it to be 1400.
But
You want the horizontal to be 1400.
So the right
So,
way
so
would
you
be
need to
just
set
marking
that
both.
for height and width both.
And then do not enlarge.
Well, yes, I hadn't get to that. We didn't get that far yet, but we actually did, but we went past it. I'm confused now. Like I
Okay,
said, I've
Johnny?
always used. Yep.
Johnny, setting it to 1400 by 1050, that setting will not change the aspect ratio of your image at all. The only thing it will do is if you have an image whose horizontal dimension is larger than 1400, it will retrim the image to that maximum 1400, and it will also proportionately adjust the vertical so that the same aspect ratio that you had will be achieved. It's not changing the aspect ratio at all. So anytime you're exporting to the club, you always want to choose both width and height and set it to 1400 by 1050. And that will ensure that both of those dimensions will be within the limits, but it's not going to stretch your image. It's not going to shrink your image. It's not going to change your aspect ratio. It's not going to crop it. It's just changing the number of pixels to represent your image.
And it's not going to skew anything about the image.
No, it will not
Like by-
skew the image. For example, I submitted an image that was not the standard 4/3. It was, and I put that 1400 by 1050 on it. When I exported the image and brought it back to double check it, the width was 1400, the height was 933. It adjusted the height to whatever my aspect ratio was, but it
But doing
maintained
this
1400
ensures
as the
that,
max.
yeah, all right, because, yeah, let's say you have a long piano,
Yeah,
like a tall piano, not a portrait piano, not a landscape piano, which is rare, granted, but so you say the height is still 1050, so then the width is going to be like, so, but it's a pixel count. It's not an okay, I'm going to believe you. I don't totally
So
understand it, and
Joni,
I'm okay with that.
so Joni, think of it this way. You're limiting the width to 1400. You're limiting the height to 1050.
Well,
So
that part I get.
so if you set it at 1400, my normal is about 950 for the height on a horizontal. So at 1400, most of my images come in at 950 in the actual height and width. If you hit the do not enlarge, that gives you the ability to not enlarge it. So,
Right.
so
That
you hit
part I knew.
so you
Yeah.
want to hit the do not enlarge.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Joni, like where it says, like back here in the rules in the chat, it mentions that if you have a vertical image, it'll be 1050 tall, but it may only be about 700 wide.
Exactly what Alan was just saying. Right.
Yeah, right. So
So if
okay.
we're doing a preset for Gateway for competition, we're going to want to resize width and height, and we're going to have to know, is this a landscape, is this a square, or is this a portrait, and adjust these numbers accordingly.
no, you don't have to know that. If you're setting a preset for the club, you
Yep.
should select resize to fit. You should select width and height, width 1400, height
Okay.
1050, and check the do not enlarge box. And that will guarantee that every image, no matter what the aspect ratio,
Great.
whether it's horizontal or vertical, doesn't matter, it will be within those parameters and it will be appropriately sized.
Great. Perfect. And post-processing after export, you can hit the double down. I do nothing, but if you want to, you can, it'll automatically open up Finder and show you where you put the picture. You can open up in Photoshop, Topaz. You can export, go to export actions to a new folder, which I imagine is set up another preset for somewhere specific. But I just do nothing. I don't do anything after import. Let's see, there was one other thing I wanted to, maybe it's not here. So if we want to set up a preset for Gateway for our images, you certainly could choose a folder later so that every time you have to choose your folder. You don't want to check add to catalog because you don't need to add an image that you're exporting, duplicate it in your catalog. You already have the image in your catalog. You don't need to add it back in. And you could certainly set a couple of settings here about the existing file, choose a new name for the exported file, overwrite without warning. I never want to do that. Or skip. I ask if I'm exporting existing files, I ask what to do. I think that's if it's a duplicate. I'm not sure what that is, but I just know I keep it there. I've never. I am going to give it a custom name, and I'm going to leave this blank right now because I'm making the preset. And I'm going to set these settings. We're going to set these settings as discussed. We're going to output my metadata. I'm just going to do copyright. I think that's, actually, I think for this I do all metadata, but I think I keep all of these checked actually when I do Gateway, to be honest with you. Watermarking, no. Post-processing, do nothing. So these are the settings that I would set up. And now I'm going to go into the preset left side and I'm going to click the add button and I'm going to name this GCC, and I can put GCC competition, but anytime we upload anything for GCC, I use these settings, not just competition. And I click create, and now I've got that preset right there. So if I come in here and I export this, so I usually do that, and I click on GCC, all of these came back to where, if you notice before I did that, they went to probably the last one I used because I was testing this earlier. So that was the last time I exported. But if I click on GCC, it brings me here. And now if I really wanted to export this now, I would put it in a specific folder. I would choose May Pictorial. I don't want a subfolder. I would give it a special name. I know these settings are all, I don't have to touch them, and I hit export. And there's a export bar up here. Oh, that was quick. And now if I go into my gateway folder, into my images, into 2023, into May, pictorial, voila, there she is right there. So I've made my first preset.
If you don't mind.
Yeah.
User presets. I do have a few, but I don't think I found a way to edit it after the fact. If I want to change something, like, I want to change the image sizing for this GCC.
So if I go to GCC,
Yeah.
and what do you mean after the fact? Now that I've made this preset, I can change this. This is a starting point.
Right.
It's not changing my preset.
If I want to change something about my preset, like instead of custom name, I want to change something. It doesn't matter. Yeah.
Okay.
There's no like save preset.
You could. Do you want to keep it a GCC preset?
Yeah. Yeah. Like updated with a different setting.
Yeah, I think you'd have to get rid of this or call it GCC2 or GCC sequence or something like that. Give it a special name.
I think if
You're
you
right.
just add it and give it the same name, it'll ask you whether or not you, and then
That
you can
makes
just,
sense.
and then you can just
That
say yes.
I think people might want to create another preset for images that they're going to send to the click because that's a different sizing.
Okay, that's great. Let's do that in a minute. So this says choose
Yeah.
another name. So you do
Okay.
get an error message.
So
Then you need to delete it.
Great.
Okay. I thought that was a magic way, but okay.
Good question, though. Some other presets that can be helpful, and we'll get to that's a great, I didn't think of that one. Lois, that's a great idea. Let me just look at my notes here. If you want to, it used to be that you could do a Facebook preset, but Facebook changed their things and they don't allow Lightroom to do it anymore. And you used to be able to, and you also used to be able to publish from Lightroom, which is, I'll get to that in a few minutes, but you can't do that anymore. So in order to, a good way, if you have pictures that you want to add to Facebook, would be to create you can do one for Facebook, Instagram, a website, and even prints. And we're going to set up all of those presets now. So for Facebook, I would want to make a folder on my desktop and I would call it Facebook. And nothing else changed. I would give it a custom name, or if I'm doing a sequence, I would probably do a custom name and a sequence. And so now it starts with number 1, typically, if you needed it to be something else. And then we're just doing a preset right now. So I don't want to put the custom text in until I actually have a series that I want to export. All of these things I would keep the same. We talked about the quality. You don't really, Facebook already compresses it, so we don't need to change that. The width and height, I think, let me double check on the settings here. The long side for Facebook should be, no side can be more than 1200 pixels. So for you want this one, you do want to have long edge, 1200, don't enlarge, and resolution 72. And I believe that's because if somebody does try to steal your image and they wanted to print it, the resolution will be fine for it doesn't matter for the screen for actually looking on the computer. But if someone ever stole it, the file size would be small enough that they wouldn't get a printable image. They could still steal it and sell, people can steal it no matter what. Sharpen for screen, metadata, however you want to do that. Watermarking, I typically don't, but you could if you wanted to do post-processing, I don't change. So these are my Facebook settings. And now I want to call this Facebook, and create. And now when let me see, maybe I do, I have these 5 images that I want to share on Facebook. I'm going to select them all. They're all highlighted. I'm going to export, and it tells you I have 5 files up here. I'm going to click Facebook. I might call it food photography. And if I hit export, there's my status bar. We'll wait 1 second. And if somebody wants to look up what the file size requirements are for the click, that would be helpful. So when we make that preset. Now, if I click on my computer, is a folder called Facebook. So I can go to Facebook, I can upload these pictures. When I'm done and they're all uploaded, I just take it to the trash. I don't need those images anymore. They're in my Lightroom. I still have them in my Lightroom. They're on my Facebook. They're not going anywhere unless I delete them from Facebook. I don't need to take those space up on those images on my hard drive, so I take them right off. And I would do the same thing if I wanted to put these on Instagram. I'll see, I do them the old-fashioned way. If I want to create an Instagram, I would do the same thing, Instagram here. So I'm making a folder on my desktop called Instagram. I'm going to do name sequence, food photos, everything else. The long edge for Instagram is different, I think. It went 1080. 1080 for Instagram, resolution same, everything else is the same. And I'm going to make a preset, call it Instagram, and create. And now if I export these food photo, oh, sorry, I want to delete this. Let's get rid of that. I didn't want to do that. When I make the preset, I don't want a name in there. Because then every time you open the preset, that name will be there and I'd have to erase it. I'd rather just keep it this way. So, I erased the GCC one. Silly me. All right, get rid of that. Instagram, add. Hey, where'd my things go? Did I get rid of all my presets? Did I delete them all? The heck,
I
I
think-
what did
didn't
I do?
see you do that.
Ah. There they are, Instagram. So I call these food photos. And going to my desktop in Instagram. 1080 pixels was Instagram, right? And export. You can see the status bar.
Johnny,
my
could you check the
desktop.
file sizes on Instagram of the files in Instagram?
Sure. So I right-clicked on the image and I can see the get info. The file size is 700 KB.
Yeah, little.
So the dimensions are 1080 by 719. And again, I don't need these. I upload them to Instagram if that's what I do, which I don't. And I delete them when I'm done. So that's the workflow. I have to put my gateway up here again. Gateway was choose a folder, custom name, and dimension, width, height, 1050, right?
Yeah.
And resolution 72, that doesn't matter.
I thought you said 300.
I know, I do 300, but it doesn't, that makes no difference. No what, okay, so that's add. See, so, you know, once you kind of get used to the whole thing, you see, it's pretty easy to make these presets. I would do, if you had a website, you want to, same thing, you want to export that. Now, we can get into published services in a little while, but that seems to be clunky as well. So this is just as easy. If you had a website, you would put it on your desktop. You might name this either the name of your website or just web. And usually it depends. If you're doing a series of photos and they're going to have the same name, you just want to sequence them, and you can decide if it's just one at a time. The naming conventions, no one's going to see the names on your website, I don't think. You can use the original file name and sequence. Maybe that makes sense because it doesn't really matter. So whatever makes sense to you, and I think for me, this makes sense, to rename it, or don't rename it at all and just keep whatever those images, whatever their original name is. So you can decide in your preset what makes sense to you. All right, I'll keep the original name. There's no harm in that. The quality here, I had read that is better to drop that to 90% because it does take less time when a person clicks on an image for it to, for the viewer to see it. Yeah. And the width and height. Again, long side on this, and it depends on the website. It can be anywhere from 2,000 to 4,000 pixels. So you can, I know I had images that people wanted to use for their website and they needed them, their website specifically needed them to be 3,000. So I have tended to stick with the 3,000. And does it say anything about resolution 72? I have to go back to, let's see, and this is web, calling that web, create that. On the Facebook one, did I do 72 and the Instagram 72? Okay, good. And then another one you might want to make is for printing. If you're sending it to a printer, again, you want to export to the desktop, call the folder that you're going to send them to, prints. Not prints.
I do the same thing whenever I type print. I hit the G always.
And again, you can decide what you think. You might want to keep the original name on this one too, so that it's the printer can see. But there should be a sequence. Why isn't this a sequence? I'm gonna check that. I'm gonna test this one. Quality, I'm sure, is going to be 100%. The size, now this you're probably going to do just one. So I'm probably going to rename this if it's only one. And you probably, because you're probably only going to send the printer, like you can send them one file at a time. Each one's going to be different. And this is why, because in the image resizing, and you guys, you technical people might have to help me with explaining this better, but this is based on what your print size is going to be. So what I had read is the long side should be like 30 inches. And then the resolution should be 300 here for this, because this is print. You'll have to decide if you're going to have it printed on glossy or matte paper. Let's say glossy. And now your aspect ratio won't change. If you have specific, I guess if you have specific dimensions, you can put it in here, but I think that's going to be different for every image. So if you keep your long at like a 30-inch, you can print like up to a 20 by 30. I guess if you have an odd aspect ratio, then you'd have to put the dimensions in here of what you want it to actually print at. Does that make sense? You probably want dimensions in inches, and then you'd have to reset it each time for what you want. And then here, make your Oops, I did it again, Phyllis.
Mm.
I'm gonna always do it now too. Thank you.
My pleasure.
So now if I custom made, just say food images. And I send all these images, it's 5 images, and they're gonna go just like they did before to a folder on my desktop called prints. I send them off to the printer. I delete the folder. I don't need them anymore. And let's see if I just do this and we export it. So now, oh, here's what I was gonna do. So now here, I'm gonna select all my images and I'm going to export. One of the cool things about this is, let's say you're going to set it up on Facebook and you want it to go to Instagram and you want it to go to web. Now there's nothing here. It's going to come up as photos 1 through 5. None of these settings are here. I'm going to batch export these. Oh, now I can put the custom text in, food photos. Start with number 1, Facebook. I can do it for all of them. And my web preset must have been the actual file name. I don't think I changed that. So so in my Facebook preset, I have put a custom text. In my Instagram, a custom text, but on my web preset, I didn't. I think I left that as the original file name. So the web didn't give me that choice. Now when I export,
Scroll down. Scroll down for web.
okay. Yeah. Yeah, but I did custom. I knew that. There isn't a place for me to put it in here, like there is for Facebook and Instagram. I had set that as the original file name. That's what. So you're right. If I had done custom text in the preset for the web one, but I didn't. I didn't change the name at all here, like I did for Facebook and Instagram. That makes sense?
Yeah.
And now when I go to my desktop, I'm going to, here's my web images, my Instagram images, my Facebook images. And when I'm done loading them up, I can just get rid of them in the trash. So that way you're not going back and forth and go, okay, export for this, export for that, export for, you can batch export.
I do have a question about exporting.
Okay.
Okay, so for instance, in the GCC case, I believe your output sharpening was screen, if I remember
Yes.
correctly. Okay.
Yep.
So here's my question. So when we edited our pictures, we edited them on a screen. So when we had sharpening and whatever, and at the end we say, okay, this is it, this is what we like, we export it. So when we add and sharpen for a screen, do we let Lightroom add more sharpening? Because the end product, it's gonna be seen by the judge on a computer screen and maybe in the hallway on a projector, which is also another type of screen. So I don't understand why we need to sharpen yet again for screen.
It's a good question. I don't know the answer. I want to say it was Harry Ball, like a few years ago, had mentioned that he always sharpened for screen. So I said, oh, okay, I will too then.
I mean, if you didn't edit the picture, I would say.
Well, but how
yeah.
many of us do that? We're all editing usually for
Exactly.
competition.
Hence my point.
Right. I'm writing that down. I'm going to look into that for you. Why sharpen screen for competition if we already sharpen to our liking?
I don't know the best answer for that one either. I've never heard of somebody saying anything.
I mean, like a judge saying, "Oh, it's too sharp. It's over sharpened."
I just never had heard it from any of the podcasts or lessons that
Yeah.
I've seen. It just
You
it
haven't,
never-
they don't
it never-
mention sharpening at all, or they don't,
No, well, they just said sharpen for whatever you're sending it to.
right?
So if it's a screen, it's a screen. If it's a print, it's a print.
Yeah, Fred makes a good point, though. We do our own sharpening to our own liking. And there are cases that I have heard a judge say it looks over sharpened. Like you added too much sharpening to it, but I think
Those have been over sharpened.
right, exactly. I think so too.
Yeah,
Did anybody,
this has always been a question for me, sharpening in the Lightroom and then sharpening during the export.
right,
I'm still confused.
me too. Sometimes these are some of these things, obviously, it's just things that I've done because somewhere along the way, that's what I was told to do. And you just get into your own groove and don't change. Did anybody have a chance to look up what the click dimensions are?
Yes, they are 1024 by 768.
So 1024 is width or height
Width
by,
768.
oh yeah, that sounds familiar. Okay, so now,
Yeah,
you can
that's all
choose-
VGA resolution.
click. Custom name is good. Usually only 1 or 2 images. 1 image, or if there's a custom, you can always change. And listen, I can make this preset, and then when I actually export, I can actually, like if I have this preset, oh, this is for 5 folders. All right, so we have 5 in here. I'm going to send these 5 in. I'm going to do custom name and preset and sequence. I'm not going to put the name in because I'm making the preset now, and everything else I assume is fine. Nothing else we would have to change here. So I'm going to add, I'm going to call this the click. And then if I go here and I only have 1 picture, now I can always change this to just custom name. Doesn't, you know what I mean? It doesn't have to stay that way. Let's say I do food photos and it's sequence and I export them. And there's a status bar. Now let's say I want to add these 2 pancake. Oh, let's say I want to add this pancake picture to that. So I'm going to keep the same thing here, but I'm going to just change. Oh no, I'd have to change this to, in this case, I'd have to change the sequence number to 5, 6. I'd have to remember that that was food image 6. Or I could just say custom name and call this one pancake, but put it in the same stuff to add to the click. Everything else is the same. But see, I went to the export, I went to the click, and but even though I have this saved at the starting point, in this particular instance, maybe I want to change this custom name, pancake, but add it to the same folder. Everything else is the same, and I export it. And now I go to the click folder. There's all 6 images. I upload them I send them to Paul or whoever. Oops, let me get rid of this. There we go. And I delete the images. So now we have all of our presets. Oh, I spelled pancake wrong. But if I go to the click, that's gone anyway. So this is a starting point. If you have places, I mean, you've got to be diligent about going through each of these and does this make sense for this particular situation? You know, even though I've set these up and 90% of the time, these settings that what I want to use for these particular reasons for sharing, but you can change this before that particular export, and then this preset will always be there. It will still go back to that preset. Questions?
You have a 0 one? No presets?
No? You want me to make one? How
Oh,
does that work?
I was just wondering, so it says use presets. Is there ability to not have any presets?
So if I just So these settings are sticky. If I just go to export, spinning wheel of doom. We did well not to go this long without it. When I open the dialog box, it will go back, even if I don't click on any of the, and you don't want to click, you want to highlight if you're just using one. If I don't go back to any of the user presets or any of the presets, it'll just save whatever my last settings were, and I just have to go to each individual box and put in what I want for that particular instance. There's something in the chat here. Oh, Paul is awesome. Why use output sharpening? Should we open it now? I guess it'll be in.
It's entirely up to you. The website's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
And basically his premise is that output sharpening is specific for the media it will be displayed on, whereas other types of sharpening are usually overcoming lack of sharpening due to the capture process or local sharpening, which is like more creative, like you want to make somebody's eyes sparkle, that kind of thing.
So that's sort of how I had, who's clapping, Alan? That's sort of how I had heard it, but I didn't, when Fred asked the question, it felt valid to me. So like if we sharpen Topaz AI, let's say a bird photo or whatever, and it's as sharp as we want it to be, why would we want, so now why does the screen do something? Or the printing process do something?
Well, the printing process, from what he says here, that when you put paper on, or when you put ink on paper, you lose some level of sharpness. And so this is basically adjusting the image to take into account how it's going to be displayed, right? He said output sharpening probably doesn't matter too much if you're just exporting for like display on a website, because you're not going to lose much. Just, you know, you've got a digital image in front of you. You're not going to lose much exporting that to a JPEG and, you know, of a certain resolution and then displaying it on a website or a phone. But when you actually print it, you got blobs of ink that bleed into the medium, whether it's paper, canvas, or, you know, probably not metal, but with metal, it probably bleeds into other colors, right? So you've got to take into account how that medium responds to putting ink onto it, is what he seems to be saying here.
And then bringing it back to the way you intended it, because then you will have the compensating for the media.
Exactly.
Medium.
Oh, that's a very good explanation.
Thank you.
That's what it says. I mean, I just read the article in like 30 seconds. I just kind of skimmed it. That's what I got out of it. I can't answer the question authoritatively. I can just point you to someplace that this guy says sounds like he knows what he's talking about.
We'll take it.
All right.
And that will be in the notes. So this link will be in the notes if you, when I send out, when you download. Yes, because what I've been doing, so what I did last time, because a couple people want to download from the website and have a copy of these recordings on their desktop. They don't want to just go to YouTube where it's there all the time. So last time I sent out the video, I sent out the link from the Zoom recording as I originally was doing. But in the meantime, it's always been added to Gateway resource links. I put it on YouTube, and then I put, where's Gateway? Under resources and links, the Lightroom SIG and our videos are listed here. But what I'm sending you now, instead of the YouTube link, I'm actually sending you the Zoom link, which will be up for a couple of weeks, so that you, because some people have said to me, I want to download it. Can you send me that link as well? So rather than send out a bunch of links, I'm sending one Zoom link out. But you all know that if you go to our home screen and you go to resources and links and you go to SIG, all of the notes and all the videos are listed here. Well, these aren't yet because I haven't done them yet, but the ones I've done.
What I do when you send out the link, is I have a thumb drive, and I just copy the email you sent to the thumb drive, and I title it 1, 2, 3, 4. So all I'll do is open up the email and then hit the link, and I've got it on my thumb drive.
So when you do that, you have to do it within, like, if in the meantime, I have sent you the Zoom link and then I take that Zoom link off of our Zoom account, you can't access it anymore unless you've actually downloaded the actual video from the link.
Oh,
Now, if it's
haven't been doing that.
if it's the YouTube link, because I changed the first few weeks, we didn't have this set up, YouTube set up. I think it was after week 5, I think I set up a YouTube channel and started uploading them to YouTube and sending you guys the YouTube links. But the first few, if you didn't, like those first few weeks 1 through 4, I think, if you didn't actually download, but they're all here, you can still get them. You can go to the Gateway website and you can go to resources and links and you can watch them on YouTube. These are all on YouTube right now. So they're always there. And your notes, you still have to download them. Well, the notes are an attachment in the email. So if you still
Yeah,
have the attachment.
I thought if I just put your email onto the stick, I wouldn't have to download it, because I was afraid if I downloaded it, it would be hours and hours and I'd need 19 sticks to do it. To
Yeah,
save.
well, so if from now on, if you want to, you can go to your stick but see, so when you have the email, are you downloading the notes that are attached?
I'm just taking the email and I'm moving it to the
Hey, if that works for you, I don't really understand it, but if that works for you, then that works for you.
You're saying if you take it, anyway, that's what I've been doing. I didn't want to download the whole thing.
Well, see, now you don't have
Because
to.
you're saying if I downloaded it, it would be 2 hours on the thumb drive, right? If I want to do 2 hours on the thumb drive, then I'd need 29 thumb drives.
Yeah, potentially. But if you don't have anything that's in your thumb drive that you're like, ooh, that doesn't work anymore, come here and they're all saved here on the website.
Yeah, I don't see why you'd ever want to save them yourself.
I agree, but I had 2 people who said, I want them on my computer.
Yeah.
Okay, or a hard drive or whatever.
I just go to the website and there they are.
I absolutely 100% agree with you, but we are, it takes many people to make up this world. We're all different.
I mean, good use cases for downloading are if you're on a plane for 7 hours and want something to watch, the internet connection's not great, or if you're
this is what you want to watch for 7 hours on a plane.
Boy, you don't have a life.
Get a movie.
Well, if I'm on a plane, no. I didn't say it was me. I mean, I'm just coming up with cases. I mean.
Okay, so we understand these presets are a starting place. They're the go-to, but within them you can change. Like you can spell pancake the right way.
Joni, is there a recommended resolution for like competition versus? Well, you said Facebook was like 72 pixels per inch. Is there one particular one for like what she would do for competition?
Well, see, a resolution is a printing issue, is my understanding, so it wouldn't matter. I do 300 just because, but I don't think there's any particular reason other than why not? It doesn't hurt anything.
Okay.
That's my understanding. Frank, you had read the competition. You were talking about how the width and height should be set up this way. But you didn't say anything about resolution, right?
Who are you talking to?
I asked Frank, but maybe he's not there. I can't tell.
Brad or Frank? I'm sorry.
Just trying to get my mic unmuted. No,
I had a feeling
my
that's
understanding, no, the 14 by 1050 is the resolution that will make it fit our screen. But as far as the PPI resolution, I just leave it at 300. I don't think it really matters for what we're doing here, but because we're not printing, we're just saving a JPEG. But I just leave it at 300.
but for some reason, I think Facebook, Instagram, and the website, you want to leave those at 72.
Right, that's because the dots, the PPI or DPI in the case of the screen,
Yeah.
websites use 72 pixels per inch as their standard print
Okay.
density, if you want to call it print density on the
View
screen,
density, yeah.
is
Isn't that
72
going to
pixels.
change depending upon everybody's monitor? I mean, the dots per, the pixels per inch in my monitor may not be the same as your monitor.
Right, but on the web, they use 72
Okay.
DPI as the standard web density.
Oh, okay. So we're going back to 1980 when Apple came out with the first Mac for going with our resolution.
Probably. Now that we've got telephones that do what 4K resolution, they're still staying at 72 pixels per inch.
Right.
Yeah,
That's
but
true.
there's another reason. I mean, if you put it at 72, yeah, it made sense many years ago. Today, maybe not, but also it reduces the file size tremendously.
Right.
Exactly. And I'm sure that's why they're staying with that on the web.
And speaking of that, I don't know who told me, maybe it was Paul Smith, but I'm not 100% sure. Mine is set at 240 for some reason.
I've seen 240 in places as well. And it might be a size issue. It might make a big difference, especially for the click that maybe, does he get concerned about the file size of the click? I don't think anything, I don't know, because I'm not that technical. Even though my husband calls me his IT person, but he's really not technical.
And
I just leave it at 100.
At 100 for everything.
Whatever the web is, and it'll interpret down. So whatever the screen that they're using, it'll just bring it down to 72.
And exporting to Instagram or Facebook, you don't have to worry about the file size.
They'll do it.
Because they will they'll resize and recompress your picture the way they want.
You
Johnny,
remember old CRT monitors, and the highest resolution was 1024 by 768. And that's, I think, what 72 pixels came.
Joni, this is Linda. I have to do a slideshow for a presentation.
Oh,
Does it matter?
I would think it depends on the projector for the slide. We talked about this a little bit before the meeting last week, I think.
No, it's going to be online. It's for the Cambridge Art Association.
Oh, just an electronic slideshow.
Yeah.
Did they give you a recommendation?
I'm trying to learn how to do it in Lightroom.
Right, which is
I got things into an album. Do they have to
right,
be
perfect.
They should be in an album, and then
That's how I do it.
Okay. And
So
I was wondering if it had to be a
collection. I take lighthouses, I take a collection, and I go to slideshow, and let me see. I haven't done this in a long time because I usually do my slideshow in iMovie now.
Oh, is that better or easier?
It has more flexibility. Yeah, I'm trying to see what these options are. I mean, we're going to do size. Doesn't seem to be an issue here.
Depending on the software you use to create the slideshow, you want to be very careful how you name them. If you don't,
what do you mean?
if you're not careful how you name them, they'll show up in the wrong order.
Oh, the pictures on the down here in the film strip, how these are named.
Yeah, for example, if you're going to put that in a certain software, you want to label the first picture not 1 but 01.
Well, the software in this case. So the software in this case we're talking about is Lightroom, is the software. So
Yeah.
I have a collection of lighthouses, right?
I didn't put them in a collection. It's in an album. Does that make a difference?
Well, it's the same thing.
Okay. All right,
In Lightroom Classic, it's
yeah,
a collection, but you're using Lightroom Creative Cloud,
yeah.
right? You haven't switched your stuff to Classic yet, right?
No, I've got a
So in
deadline.
Creative, I know in Creative Cloud, they're called albums. I don't know how to do it. So when you do it from the cloud, ooh, these aren't supposed to, oh, what is this? Oh, favorite image. So I don't know how you make a slideshow in here.
In where?
This is, now I've opened up the cloud. This is a Lightroom Creative Cloud.
Yeah,
I don't know how, I don't,
this is the
you must,
collection right here in front of us?
this is an album, they're albums. In
Oh.
cloud, they're albums.
Okay, all right. So you don't know how to do that from there?
No, I've never done it. All I can think of is that you would have to export these images, and exporting in the cloud is different than exporting in Classic. You'd have to export these images to a folder on your desktop and then use some software like iMovie or what's the other one everyone used to use years ago? Shiv always used it. Do you remember, Alan?
To do, to do a
Autodesk.
presentation, it would be Pro Show Gold.
Yeah,
Well,
Pro Show
can I
Gold. That
get
was
this, can I get this album into Lightroom Classic?
if you open Lightroom Classic, it
Yeah.
will be there in a collection. If they're synced, if you've got them synced.
I don't know if I have them synced.
Well, because you're not using Classic. You haven't even, have you even created a catalog or done any of that in Classic?
No, I only have like
Right.
23 images in there, and I don't even know how I got them in there.
Right. Well, you might have synced them by mistake from the cloud. You know what I mean? You might have synced them here. You might have told this album to be synced with Classic. So I don't know what you, so I thought you were actually talking about the slideshow here. So for the size, so here when you export custom settings, image type JPEG, dimensions, you can custom set your sizes here. And again, this side, this has the same side, long side and short side is all you get. But you will want to do this based on, oh, so you're doing it on a screen. I would think, I'm trying to think this out.
I mean, when she's there in online, I'm going to open Lightroom and share my screen.
Well, not if you're doing a slideshow. You have to create a slideshow first.
And then I send a slideshow to her.
I don't know. That's between you and her. Whatever.
Oh, I don't know how to do it.
Right.
It's coming up Saturday, so I'm freaking out.
I guess you should talk to the person.
Yeah.
I mean, can you just show images and click through them like this? You know, make them full screen.
Well, I could take her to
you
my
know,
website,
and just
but
go like this. Well, that's not working, but there we go. And go like this and go through the images. I don't know. You'd have to talk to her and find out. I
Yeah.
mean, that's beyond the scope of this class, I think, honestly.
Okay.
Sorry.
All right.
But I would talk to her sooner
anybody-
rather than later.
Is there anybody in the club that would be able to help me?
Maybe you could send an email out. Do you know how to send an email to the club?
It's on the website, right?
Right. Organization, send email to members.
Okay.
You could choose all members
Yeah.
and make a subject and make your body of your letter and then click send.
Okay, I will do that.
Yeah. So maybe somebody has time to work with you on that. But I would absolutely reach out to the person, whoever this lady is, and find out, be clearer about, you know, some people, a slideshow, I mean, it doesn't have to be a formal show in a program. They're just going to click through their images in Lightroom, and you can share screen. So see what their definition is, what their expectations are, and go from there, I guess.
So Joni, I've done 2 slideshows, but they're all been on a Lightroom.
Yeah.
And what I do is that I view it in my slideshow, but I export it, changing the name to 0, 1 to whatever the amount of slideshows, and that automatically puts it in an order to the person who I've sent it to, even though it's not a presentation like a slideshow that you would produce. And it really depends on their software. So the 2 libraries I sent my stuff to, they have a pre-designed software. And as long as I gave them the format they asked for and a number sequence, it all set up in the sequence that I wanted it.
Okay, see, the sequencing thing is something that I've never had to worry about, because if I lay these images out that are in my film strip and I go to the Lightroom slideshow, they will present in this order. If I now, this brings me actually back to, I mean, I could take these and export them to a desktop, and I could call this an iMovie, because that's typically where I make my slideshows now. So they will go to a folder in my desktop called iMovie. And I probably want this height and width the same, because it's usually the gateway that usually it's the gateway thing. So that's width is 1400 by 1050, right? We said.
Mm-hmm.
And screen, blah, blah, blah. So I could make this an iMovie preset.
Is
Never done it before.
iMovie free?
With Apple, yeah.
And is that easy? Why would you use that instead of Lightroom?
I have there's much more customization than Lightroom gives you. Lightroom's pretty basic. It's fine. I've done them both ways. There's more transitions, there's just more options in general for.
Okay, well, I guess I better stick to basic.
Yeah. Well, you need to talk to the woman first, and yeah. But so this sequencing, Alan, is something I've never had to worry about.
The reason you start off with 0, 1, 0, 2, 0, 3 is that you keep the digits in numerical order for the person's software to deal with.
Oh, if it's somebody else's software.
Yeah, because both of my slideshows, I gave them all the slides, but I wanted them in the correct sequence.
Okay,
and,
so that's a different,
and what I made sure was by putting it, because I didn't have more than 100. If I had more than 100, then it would be 0, 0, 1.
Right. But you're just sending them the images, and they're putting the slideshow together in their software.
Right, because they had both proprietary softwares.
Okay.
So their software.
I've never had that issue with I've always made the slideshow and then either an iMovie or Lightroom downloaded it to my computer. And then I think I have all my slideshows saved here, and for whatever reason. I mean, sometimes they've been for a funeral, sometimes they've been for, a wedding, the night before the rehearsal dinner, we did slideshows for our kids' weddings, things like that.
The issue Alan's referring to, we call the ascabetical sorting problem. And it's because file names are ASCII characters. ASCII is basically the encoding the computers use for letters and numbers. And the number you see on a screen is not actually a number, it's actually a character. And what ends up happening is sequences like 1 through 9 sort fine, but until you get to 10. So 1, 1, 0 comes before 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Right.
So will 2, 1, 2, 2, 2, 3. And so if you prefix all of your numbers with the number so that your whole string is the same width. So if you've got, like Alan said, if you've only got 2 numbers, 2-digit numbers up to 99, you start out your single digit numbers with a preceding zero and
Right.
double zeros for hundreds, etc. And that keeps everything sorted properly from an alphabetical form order rather than a numerical order, because they're not actually numbers.
Because
It doesn't
their
matter what
logic
soft-
system is different.
It doesn't matter what software they use because you're
All
actually,
computers do it.
yeah, because it's something that every computer uses.
I would
Right.
just open up your Finder on a Mac and create 22 files. Just, they don't even have to have anything in them. Just call them 1 through 22, and they can be completely blank. And you will see that when you sort them in the Finder, you'll end up with 1, 2, 1, 2, 2, 2, 3, or 2, 2, 1, 2, 0, 2, 1, 2, 2, 2, 3, etc. Then you'll get 3. Then you'll get 3, 0, 3, 1, 3, 2, 3, 3, and so on, until you get to 9. And so you end up with double-digit files sorted in between all of your single-digit numbered files.
Right.
And it doesn't matter what computer you're using, whether it's Windows, Macintosh, Linux. It doesn't matter if it's a website on the cloud somewhere. They all do it.
And that makes sense. I think this is where Linda started, that she, I thought she was creating a slideshow in
Right.
Lightroom, and once you create the slideshow, when you share it with somebody else, that numerical order doesn't matter because
Correct.
you've already downloaded this format in this particular way. Same with
Right.
iMovie. So that's something I have to be aware of. I've never had to send images to somebody else to create the slideshow.
Right. A slideshow is basically it's a binary image. You're putting everything into a single package in a particular order that can't change. When you're talking
Right.
about files, you're talking about individual objects within a
Right.
directory or a folder, and those can change. Those are manipulatable.
Exactly. I understand the difference. The only other thing I wanted to go over in sharing, and I thought I was going to, again, need a whole week, whole night to do this, but I don't, because it just doesn't work very well. And I don't think a lot of people are going to use it, but under collections, there's an area called published services. And I tested this out. This is not going to work. So I can delete this actually. Can I delete this? I don't know if I can delete this. Well, anyway, what used to happen, and again, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, website services like SmugMug, you would have a whole bunch listed here, and if it wasn't listed here, you could find more online. And basically, what these published services do is everything we just did in the export, except that instead of having to go to the export button, load them down into a subfolder and upload them onto your SmugMug or Facebook or Instagram, they automatically did it here. Once you set up a SmugMug account, let's say, or a Flickr account, and you again authorize using your username and password and give Lightroom permission to send things to SmugMug or vice versa, I'm not sure which way it goes, then what you would do is you would create folders in these publishing services underneath it. Once this was set up, you would have a whole folder hierarchy of how your folders were listed on your SmugMug account, and you could drag and sync them to your SmugMug or your Facebook or your Flickr automatically. Facebook, again, their algorithm changed and they don't allow Lightroom to play with it anymore. I don't have a SmugMug account anymore, so it's not set up. But when I did, it was just, it took out that step of having to export to your hard drive and then upload to whatever platform you wanted to upload to. It would actually, and I assume Instagram and Twitter are all the same, especially since isn't Instagram and Facebook are the same company, I believe. I'm not sure about that, but I think
Yes.
some of these other services, it takes out the middleman. You create an album, you put your pictures in the album, and then you sync it, and all of those images will automatically be uploaded to that platform. but this is not, it is clunky. And it would, you had to be real specific about how your website was set up and make sure the folder hierarchy was exactly the same. It was a little clunky. And I was going to say something else. It left my mind. It's a scary place in there. Published services. I tried to set this up for a Facebook folder, but it didn't work out. That's what this was. And I can't delete it. Right? And I can't delete it. So it's just going to be there.
Can't you just
Oh,
grab it and carry it down to the trash?
no.
Looks
No,
like it's
I'm not
grayed
gonna-
out. You can't do anything with it.
Yeah,
if it's
I'm
grayed
not going to worry about it. I'm not going to worry about it. But there was something else, published services. Oh, so, but in a few weeks, but if you have Lightroom, Adobe Creative Cloud, where you have Lightroom and the mobile and cloud service and et cetera, all of that stuff, you actually have something called Portfolio. And we will be getting into one of the last sessions, I believe. Am I logged in? Now I have to figure out where it is.
Oh, yeah, April 3rd is published services.
Yeah, that's changed. Don't go by that.
Oh,
That's not it at all. All right, I don't remember how to get to it, but there is, why isn't it created? There's a portfolio. Oh, maybe it's up here. Here it is. Is it? Portfolio. And I haven't gone live yet because I'm still working on it, but you can create your own. You have a free website with Adobe, journeyrichphotography.myportfolio.com. So it hasn't live yet, but I'm working on it. And there's also a web, that's two things. There's that, and then there's a web module that we'll do later on. So I think this publishing services is probably really pretty obsolete, and most people aren't really using these anyway. They're either using the web module, or more likely than not, they're using the portfolio. Now I don't even know where it is. Did it go here? No. It's there. But so that's why I didn't make publish services a full week. It's not necessary. There's not enough to it. Does anybody have their own website, and how do they upload their pictures?
I have my own, but somebody set it up for me, but I can manage it.
Okay.
Yeah. It's lindalands.com.
And so, so you upload your pictures, like you export them from, or wherever, and you put them up there
My
yourself.
hard drive, yeah.
Yeah.
From Lightroom, from anything.
Does anybody else have their own website? Guess not.
I do, but I just uploaded with the software.
What software?
The software provided by the company.
What company?
Microsoft.
No. My mind went blank, Joni. Sorry.
Okay. I mean, there's a few out there. I know there's a few, web services out there.
I use Squarespace.
Yeah, Squarespace is one. Yep, I've heard of that.
Squarespace
is that
has its
another?
own widget for uploading. Most of them do.
Right. Well, I'm sure
It's usually-
SmugMug does too, but you might be able to find it if you go on here.
It's usually a wrapper around FTP or something like that.
Oh, now you're really talking Greek to me. Sorry.
Sorry.
Oh, it's not just you. It's not you, it's me. And I would think it would be under app integrations, but I don't know. None of this looked familiar. I tried to figure that out. None of this looked familiar to me either. So, any questions on exporting?
I'm curious if you still use Flickr at all.
No, I never did.
No.
I think, Fred, did you start a Flickr?
No, not me, Beth. We were
Oh.
when we were playing with social media, Flickr was one option and
I thought Mickey Golden used Flickr.
very popular.
Does
I don't know.
anybody use Flickr now? I've never even heard of it.
It was very popular maybe 5 years plus back, but then they got bought by somebody and they've made their terms very unfavorable, in my opinion.
Uh-huh.
I basically want something for free and now they want to charge me for it. And I figure if you're paying for Adobe and you get all this stuff built in with Adobe, why would you use Flickr?
Exactly. That's why I stopped paying for SmugMug too. And then
Yeah.
I had Joni Rich went like a GoDaddy or something. I was paying a couple $100 a year. I'm like, what, why? But now I've been like 3 or 4 months without it and I haven't finished this portfolio either. So
Well, I'm
But it
even too
also-
cheap to pay for Adobe, so I don't have that either.
oh, so do you not have Lightroom?
I don't have any of this.
Standalone.
No, I don't have anything.
And you put up with us through all this stuff and you don't even have it?
Well, I mean, I use a free application that looks almost exactly like Lightroom. It just doesn't have all of the bells and whistles that Lightroom has.
Right.
But
right.
all of the concepts are there. I can do almost everything you can do. I can do. It's just a little bit harder to find.
Yeah.
And I don't
But
want
with
to pay.
practice and use, you probably know where the changes are.
Oh yeah, I mean it's
differences.
already helped me with like the masking and stuff that we were talking about a few weeks ago, and like the fact that you could create masks, in a couple different places. And I've already been like using brushes for masks. I was forever. I was just doing like the point by point. I was zooming in and I was trying to like outline every little peak of a landscape of like a mountain just to mask the sky. And when you like, oh, you can use a brush, I went hunting for the brush in my app. I'm like, oh, there it is. I could have been doing that all along.
Aren't you the one that showed me to do something by color range to get rid of a part of the
Yes.
butterfly picture?
That was
used it like-
strictly that was strictly based on observing what you were doing on the screen, Joni. It had nothing to do with me knowing how to use Lightroom.
Oh, that's funny because actually I did see a webinar or a little 5-minute video somewhere. Is there a masking on here? There's a masking on here. If you click on here and you have add and subtract, if you click option, it goes to intersect. So this is the example this is not a good example. Let me get a different picture. Let me get a portrait if I can. Do I have any portraits here from last year? With a background. Oh, well, I have, we can go to Logan as usual. One of his.
I aspire someday to have Adobe, but I need a newer laptop. Mine's 10 years old and won't run any Adobe anything.
All right, so even though the judge didn't like this picture last week, it's going to take a second to load up because I'm moving around so fast.
Well,
But
I had a distraction. Zenfolio is a site that I had,
oh, right.
and
I've heard of
in the
that.
publisher, they used to have a program that actually was quite good, but every time that Lightroom upgraded, this guy had to rewrite his codecs to compensate for the changes in Lightroom. And since they've been changing, I mean, if you haven't noticed, Lightroom's been changing pretty much on a weekly
Yeah.
basis.
Yeah, no kidding. No kidding. I'm gonna add,
How did you make him red? Start again, because
oh, I created a mask. I did create mask, select subject. I selected him, but I want to select the bucket too. So I'm going to add object and do that little rectangle. I've been using that more and more, and just go here and hopefully it'll get most of the bucket. I don't need it all done. And now I can even add color range and add that little bit in there. Oops, that was too much. I'm going to take that out. I'll use a brush just to get in there, just to be a little picky, which I shouldn't be really, but all right. So I want this.
bye, Fred.
Okay, but what I want to do is change the background. I want to change the color or the lighting of the background. So I'm going to take this mask and invert it. So now it's all but him. And so what I want to do is, I want to do a linear gradient here on the background, but I want to exclude the subject. So I want to intersect the linear gradient with the subject. So if I hit the Option key, the add and subtract becomes an intersect. I learned this week and I said, oh, I have to show people. So I click on intersect. So I'm going to intersect this mask that I already have with a linear gradient. And if I bring the linear gradient down now, see how the gradient's going to the background as the linear line is going in a gradient on the background, but it's not touching him. I can drag this whole linear gradient. I don't know why it did that. Hold on. What letter did I do? H. Why is my overlay like that? All right, that's for another. I don't know why it's doing this. I don't know. Oh, okay. All right. So see how I'm taking my gradient and I can make it like the whole thing. But if I just want to make like more light behind him, let's say, let's just do a little exposure or lower it down, or if I want to change the hue of it in a gradient. So it just, and this is just an example. I don't know why I'd want to do that. I'm just saying, if you want to intersect two parts of a mask by clicking the Option key to add and subtract, I'm actually intersecting one mask with another kind of mask.
What's that thing under his left eye?
Oh, I must have done some other mask there or some other spot removal or something. I don't know.
I think it was showing you the objects that were selected that you don't want to affect, maybe? Because there's one on the bucket too.
Right here.
Yeah.
That
So
was a
that's
mask
like
I did.
different objects.
This I probably softened his face. This I probably lightened his eyes.
Yeah.
So those are masks, I believe. What's this mask?
And
Is
there's
his
one up in the
face?
background.
Oh, I must have done something with that too. But I didn't pick the whole thing. Look, I left these out. Well, anyway, I want to get rid of this mask. I'm just saying. If you want to intersect two masks, that would be how you do it. You take the mask and you hit the Option button and you intersect. Like, I don't remember what this mask was, though. This is this thing. Intersects with I can't even think of a reason to do it, so it doesn't matter. But I saw that in a video this week and I thought, oh, I never did intersect before. I should show people that if I have time tonight.
It is really neat.
So maybe you have that in your version too.
One could hope.
Okay, so I don't have to answer the question about screen sharpening. We can all read that article now. Paul did the research for me. And Erin, at some point, wants to review moving things around without losing them, your files and pictures in Lightroom, and some basic catalog management, how to put a catalog on OneDrive and move it back to the other, things like that. So that's one thing we have set up for the future. I don't know that anybody else, like I said at the beginning, I feel like some people still have questions and concerns, but are afraid to ask me. But if they don't ask, I mean, I've put it out there enough. There's nothing I can do about it. I can only do so far. And like I said,
Joni, I joined after you had already started, so I'm so far behind by not going through 1, 2, 3, and 4.
right. I tried to do them in a
That
logical
I don't
sequence.
want to bother everybody with basic stuff. So is this going to be done again?
No, but you could certainly go onto our website into the resources and links and start with video number 1 and watch the video and
but
read
I
the
can't
notes.
ask a question when I'm
No, email. No. Go if you after watching this. I mean, for you, the first thing you have to do is start a catalog. So you have to start at number 1. And if you have a question, you have my number. Call me, and you can email it to me. And I'm sure other people in the class And there are, listen, tonight, this is the lowest night we've had, but typically there's 18 to anywhere from 18 to 20 participants, but there's 38 people signed up for this course. So a lot of people aren't able to make it on a particular night. I know some people, well, Monday night, it doesn't work for her, but she wanted to be a part of it. She wanted to get the videos and the notes. She hasn't asked me any questions. I don't know if she's watched them. Doesn't matter. They're here. But if you watch them, Linda, and you have a question, feel free to reach out or email me. And I'm sure there's somebody else in the group or somebody else who hasn't come but is watching them that might have the question and might feel exactly the same as you. Oh, I don't want to bother everybody else. Well, I'm not going to say we're going to take a whole night on your question. I'm going to be cognizant of other people's time, of course. But if you have a question, other people like Erin, Erin mentioned something that's, she's still struggling with. Well, let's go over it together. And we have become a very collaborative group. If I don't know it, somebody else has an idea or a thought or shows us something. So which is great for me because I don't feel like it's all on me.
I would honestly, I don't want to speak for anybody else, but I think that if you have a question, even if it's something from, early lessons, I don't see the harm in asking it here. We tend to have a lot of time left over at the end. Like we seem to wrap up the content for the night, usually within the first, 75 to 90 minutes. And then the last 30 minutes is like chit chat like this. So if you've got a question, ask it, because chances are somebody else out there has the question and also is afraid to ask it. So, be selfish and ask your questions. And if you get annoying, somebody will tell you.
Well, I also notice if you get on right at 7, we don't really get started sometimes for.
Right. Take the advantage and ask the questions. And, also, like if you're doing something in the middle of the week, send an email out to the group. Joni may not see it, but somebody else might and know how to answer it. I mean, Alan knows this stuff. Frank knows this stuff really well. You might even get 3 different answers to do the same thing. And now you've got 3 different ways to do something depending upon the context of the problem you're facing at any given time.
Right. Well,
I
my
don't
main
think there's
problem now is having this slideshow, so.
Yeah, well, that I can't help.
So,
The
so
problem is I have, on one day, I have 3 different people. I have the head of photography at Danforth. I have somebody from Boston, their gallery, and I have a private gallery reviewer. So these 3 people are going to reviewing, and I don't know if they, you said just call one of them, but I'd have to call all 3 of them, I guess.
Oh, if they're 3 different issues, yeah. So if you need to email anybody in the SIG, you can go to organizations, send email to members, and Charlene has put a Lightroom SIG as one of it's a group email list that will automatically go to everybody in the SIG. Like that's how I email you guys all of our links each week.
Does that list, if we went there, could I look at it and see who signed up, or it's just?
If you want, this is the recipients in this group are right here.
Yeah. Excellent.
I don't know why you'd want to, but if that's what you want to do, it's right there.
I wish we didn't have to register for every single class. I know you said we can just use the same password.
Well, I suppose I could probably change the settings on it. Let me see.
Could we just eliminate that and send us the link? I mean, what's the security for?
I don't know. I made a decision when I first set it up.
Some of these things have been spoofed, and people that come in from the outside and just wreak havoc.
Well, you're still going to have a password. If I so I just changed it so you don't have to register. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
And
if you set like add a Google Calendar invite type thing, it will actually, I think it transforms the link and it embeds the passcode in the link. So all we have to do is click the link. We can add it to our calendar. We click the link and we join the meeting.
So I do that.
Oh boy.
Oh no, I don't want to do this.
I just
not a big deal the way it is.
Yeah, I mean, I just took your invitation, I put it in the calendar.
No, that's what I did.
Monday night, I go to my calendar and I just click the link and I copy it and there's no problem.
There's no
Yeah, I
problem.
just click the link and copy the passcode and I'm in. I don't register every week.
No, I never register.
Okay, I took register off anyway. The passcode and the meeting ID and passcodes are still the same. And the last couple of weeks, I've just been adding that for people who want to do it that way.
Hmm.
So
Okay, thank you.
thank you, everybody.
Can we get better snacks in the waiting room?
You want pancakes?
Something, yeah, that'd be great.
No,
Just
no,
like
I
those.
like what were the things? I forgot the name.
Eclairs? You want the
The
eclairs?
eclairs. I was
Those
thinking,
are-
yeah, I was thinking chocolate covered hot dogs and that's disgusting.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
My husband was thrilled. Well, it's fun. So the week I did this, he got to eat the eclairs, obviously. But the week that I made the pancake pictures, he actually had a stomach bug. So I had a whole batch of pancakes, but I individually froze them. And my grandchildren are staying with us this weekend because it's our daughter's 40th birthday and they're going away for the weekend for her birthday. So we've got that little Logan and his big sister. And I said, well, I guess the kids are having pancakes for breakfast this weekend.
Yay.
That was a beautiful
Excellent.
picture, by the way.
Yay. You know, they'd have a clear and they'd be just as happy. They don't know.
No.
Oh my God, they'd be happy with an eclair. Of course they would. I don't think I have an eclair. He ended up Erwin got he likes Boston cream pie. So those are one of his two desserts are usually either eclairs or Boston cream pie. And so he'll have one slice like until it's gone for the week or whatever. That's his breakfast dessert.
How old is Logan's sister?
7.
Oh, we got it. We haven't seen pictures of her. Do you not like her?
I love her. Let's see. When he was born.
Well, it's like me. You've seen pictures of all my greats. My great
here's-
nieces and my great nephews. You've seen them grow up through the years. Because they're
Where's
so
there? Evelyn? He was born 2022, right? So he was born in January.
her
And then he
name
was
is
in the
Evelyn. That's an old name.
Evelyn, yeah. Yeah, isn't it? Oh my gosh, where are their pictures? The hell?
Are you signing off, Joni?
No, not yet. I
Oh.
was gonna. Oh, I don't know where the folder is. Why the folder isn't there? I have it in a collection. Right, kids and friends and family. Logan and Evelyn newborn
Logan,
session here.
Frank,
This
So
is
show it in the library. Click it.
yeah.
Show it
That's
in
her.
there.
look at her.
She's adorable.
She's a big girl.
Oh, that's cute.
That's a year ago. You know her, Alan.
Yeah. She sung to me one day.
Yeah.
She knew
Yeah.
every single word. Of course, I
This is
didn't,
her-
so
This is her
she might have
playing
missed one,
soccer.
but I believe she had every single word.
Her soccer
Wow.
pictures last year.
They
So,
grow up
I'll-
so quickly.
And then we have Theo. You want to see more? This is my older grandson. That ball was out of range. And I cropped the picture, so I moved the ball to be closer to him. Look
Yeah.
at this face. He's so into it. He already started practicing for this season. He's been out in the yard. Anyway, you don't need to see my kids anymore. I can look at them all night long. Oh, what's he doing in that? He shouldn't be there. Oh, well. All right, I'm gonna stop sharing. You guys don't need to do that. There we go. Hey, Sue, I didn't realize you were there.
Yeah, I've had my picture and my sound off, but I've been here.
Ah,
Oh, Diane Spotsworth's hiding.
yep. Nope, I let her in. I remember that.
She's probably naked, that's why.
Okay.
You're funny.
I heard that.
Well, are you?
I'm in my pajamas, so.
No, but I don't like to have to, get ready to see it.
Oh, Mickey. when are you
Joni,
gonna
as
tell
always,
us?
this is great. I appreciate it.
Yep.
Mickey
A lot
wants-
of
Mickey
information.
wants- Wait a second. This is Mickey. He's sharing his screen.
Hey, Mickey.
Hi there.
What do you want us to see, Mickey?
No, I
PowerPoint?
just appreciate it. Just wanted to say hello.
Oh, well, you're sharing your screen with us. We can see your Zoom screen and.
So how do you
Okay,
upload?
I
So,
gotta
so
go.
Mickey, I know you have millions of photos up on SmugMug. How do you upload them?
How do I upload them?
Do you go through Lightroom?
No.
Okay, never mind.
Mickey, you have to stop sharing your screen. No, no, no,
No,
no,
no.
no. We want to see you. We don't want to see your Zoom screen.
Well, I don't, if I knew how to do it, I would, okay, let me share.
Click on the
Just-
stop sharing.
Just go down to where on the lower part of your screen, there's a green button that says share screen, and then you hit stop sharing.
It's
Yeah,
red.
one's below, go below that, below that.
I might be able to kick them out. Let's see.
Okay, I'm gonna say goodnight, everybody.
Yeah,
Bye.
me too. If I could,
Good
if
night,
I can figure.
everybody.
Here we
Thank you
go.
for
Thank
coming.
Thank you very much,
Joni.
See y'all
It's always
tomorrow.
nice, always nice to share the time. Thank you.
Okay, everybody, thank you. Next
Yeah.
week, I don't know. Oh, I think we're gonna do the keywording and metadata next week, Alan. We'll do a deep dive onto that, and I might call on you to help with that.
Okay.
All right. Good night, everybody. Take
Good
care.
night.
Good night.